I'm going to open up a new blank presentation, and I've selected the blank layout here instead of the title slide layout. I'm going to go to View and open up my grid and guidelines in the View toolbar and select Guides. I want to turn on these horizontal and vertical guides because they help to keep things aligned and straight. Off the main center of the image, I can actually slide these either to the left or to the right, or to the top or to the bottom. They default at being center vertically and horizontally, but this will help me to keep things straight and decide where the center of my screen is. I can add other guidelines if I want to make sure that I'm not putting text too close to the edge, or if I want other things aligned as I create my document. I'm going to go first to Design and over to Colors and select my 1 for 50 standard colors that I've set up. So any colors I create in this presentation now will be my 1 for 50 branded colors. First, I'm going to right-click on my slide and go down to Format Background, and I'm going to choose a nice gradient background with some of my 1 for 50 colors. And then I'm going to go over to unsplash.com to find an image. This flyer that I'm creating is for a celebration call. So I'm thinking to find some people jumping up in the air. That will be a nice way to express the attitude that I want to communicate in this particular flyer. I like this picture here by Zachary Nelson. It's 3 people jumping, and there's a snowy background. I'm going to download it to my personal computer, and using a previously installed software program, I'm going to take this JPEG image and convert it to a PNG and remove the background. I won't be explaining how I do this in this particular tutorial, but that may be something that you want to research further and figure out. Then I'm going to go over to Canva and upload this image that I have put here without the background into a blank presentation with a plain green background, like a green screen. I'm going to edit this photo, and in the editing portion, you will see that there's an option to add shadows. I'm going to do the outline shadow for this and change the background of the outline to pure white and change the size of it and increase it a little bit. Now I have this nice image of 3 people jumping with a white outline behind it. I'm going to download this image back to my computer and using my other software program, remove the green background. Once I have that image saved to my desktop, I can go and add of these 3 people jumping with the white outline into my PowerPoint design. I'm going to resize it from the corners, not from the sides. If I resize it from these corner places, you can see my image distorts and it's not going to look right. And make sure when I resize it, I'm going to resize it from the corner spots. Another way to ensure that your image will not distort when you do is to go up to the height and width portion here under picture format and make sure that your height and width is checked to lock the aspect ratio. That will help to keep your logo or your images from distorting. Any part of the image that is off of the colored area will not show up in my presentation. You can see that it is cut off, and that may be effective for you if you want to have that bleed edge on your flyer. But if you want that image included all on your flyer, make sure to size it so that it shows. Now I have previously written up the text that I want to include in this flyer, so I'm going to paste it into the document here. This is not our 1 for 50 branded font, so I need to make sure that I am changing it to our Avenir font, and I'm going to make it a lighter color so it stands out against the background. I'm going to do what's called text hierarchy, and this makes certain parts of my text bigger than other parts of the text so that you can clearly see them. It lets the viewer of your presentation know that certain things are more important than other things. So I'm going to make this word celebrate very large because I want people to see that this is something that we are going to celebrate. And I'm going to reduce some of the other text that's less important. This Tuesday, 9 April 2024 at 9 a.m. is pretty important So that needs to be bigger than maybe some of the body of the text. I can even go ahead and change some of the colors of these fonts to make them so they're not all white. It will add a little bit of variety into my font, and I think the yellow color looks great against the purple background. I might add some extra features or some extra spaces into my text here. I can realign the text to add variety and add some flow and rhythm to the text. I can increase or decrease the size as necessary, and I may want to also include the important information for joining the call on that day. I might also want to go ahead and put the 1 for 50 logo into this flyer because it is a 1 for 50 event. And I'm actually going over here to format this picture. And I'm going to change the picture transparency, and so some of that purple color comes through into the image itself. I'll send it to the back. You can check your layers of your text to make sure that your layers aren't overlapping by going up to Selection pane. And you can see where the layers are of the images that you're manipulating. Sometimes you'll grab an image and it will grab something that's laying on top of it in front. And so this is a nice way to do that. I can bring this picture into the front of my text, or I can bring it to behind the text, and you see now this picture is what's in front. So I can change the order of my pictures as they appear on the slide using the Selection pane tool. And that's helpful as you're working with a lot of different things on your screen. It can get very easy to have them all layered on top of one another, and sometimes it can be a little confusing. I'm going to make sure my margins are big enough so that I don't have text right up to the edge. And you can see that I have these things aligned pretty closely to the edge, so they're on the same layered plane. And maybe I want to have this line up with that word celebrate, where the celebrate ends. I want to have this text end on that side, so there's a clear line from where it's ending. And I want my image to support the text that's on the screen, not distract from it, so I'm going to let some of my image go off of the edge of my flyer. Then I will take a screenshot of the image in presentation mode, and I can distribute that image as a PDF or a JPEG file in my WhatsApp communications, along with a personal invitation to my friends saying, hey, I would like you to join me on this coming call on Tuesday, April 9th. Come and celebrate with me as we find out what God is doing in our nation and in other nations as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a flyer using PowerPoint.